And we're live.
Hello, hello.
Hopefully our sound quality is much improved because David was putzing around
I was fixing our sound.
on the audio.
I was fixing it. I was separating our two mics so we can EQ them separately.
Yes, it's a whole
I
process.
was making it so that like I'm not super loud and you're not super quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And our levels look pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you say so.
So we're coming on today to talk about a video that Miriam found.
Yeah, it just popped up in my algorithm. Well, because I feel like I'm constantly like, where are the people that are talking about anything real?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
It's a perpetual feeling. And then I saw this video today by this guy, Ethan, right? His name's Ethan?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
I just want to make sure I have his name right. And
Yep.
yeah. And he...
Oops, sorry.
And I didn't know anything about, like, I just clicked on it because of the title, which is, oh my God, I'm putzing around.
I don't know if that's how you spell it. Probably not.
No, that looks like putzing.
Could
That's
be,
pretty
right?
good. Yeah. Wait, go back.
Oh, okay.
So the title of his video is Only a Slave Justifies Its Existence Through Productivity.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I'm going to watch this. And at the time he had six subscribers
Okay.
and like over 100 views or something. But I didn't even realize that until way later.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how he's going to do more videos. And I was like, I'm going to subscribe. I want to follow this guy. And then I saw his numbers and I was like,
Cool.
this is interesting. Because I feel like YouTube doesn't usually feed you smaller creators.
It's new. It's
So
very new.
it just was honestly refreshing. So hello, welcome in. So we're going to do a live react. So this is going to be the third time that I've seen this video.
That's true.
And I don't know. I really liked it because I'm like, man, he is on something. Like he is like pulling a thread that like most people don't want to talk about. They don't want to go there. They don't want to think about it. They don't want to think about being in a slave system because what would that mean? What would that mean about their life, their identity? They're so identified with their careers. Like and he's just willing to go there and ask these questions and tell his friends that they're slaves. And I don't think they see it. Like they don't get it. Like I don't know what they think of him.
Yeah, and I think we can go through the comments too because it's interesting.
Oh, the comment. I didn't even read the comments.
Mm-hmm.
I just wrote my comment and then I couldn't find it. So then I had to rewrite it.
Yeah.
So I hope it still hits the same. I want it to have the same like
Oh, I'm sure it's fine.
fervor.
I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just really impressed. I was like, wow, he's 21 asking these questions. Like I didn't start asking them until way later, until my mom had a stroke in 2011. Like, I feel like, I don't know. It's really cool. It's really cool to see someone so young asking these questions and asking for a deeper purpose to all of this and like what is all of this and money being made up, and there's just so many things that he touches on that I'm like, just keep going with all these threads.
Mm-hmm. All right, you want to jump into it? Yeah, let's give it a watch. Here it is.
Hi Ethan, if you ever see this.
And this is the video description. It's 700 views now. Here's Miriam's
Oh,
comment,
wow,
and
look at it go.
There's quite a few comments on it actually.
Oh, there weren't very many this morning.
So yeah, we can get to the comments at some point, but yeah, let's start watching and then see what we get.
I want to just dive in.
Yeah, let me make sure that it should be good. Should be able to hear it.
So you probably saw the title of this video, Only a Slave Quantifies His Existence Through Productivity. This is not a original, that's not my quote. It's by a man named RJ Spina, I believe. Might be botching that name. But it's his quote. And I found this to be a super profound quote. Now, I feel like a lot of people might look at that and they're like, oh, that's justifying laziness. To be honest with you, I don't view it as that way. I think for most of you guys, you probably grew up in like some sort of school system, right? I'm 21, I live in the United States, and so went through like the kindergarten through high school, like grade 12, whatever it is thing, and then off to college. And when I look at my community, I look at the older people, like my parents, my friends' parents, people that I have no, pre-existing relationships with whatsoever, but they're just in my community. I think everybody is kind of in this repeated cycle, and I'm actually going to talk about it a lot as well in later videos, but this idea of like slavery, they're in this repeated cycle of like work, provide for their family. And obviously there's honor in this thing. God says it himself, you know, there is honor in hard work and providing for your family. But I think that one of the things I've come to the realization is that this whole system, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I just fundamentally disagree with it.
Yeah, so this is the vibe. This is the vibe of what we're getting into here. I think it's good.
Oh, I love it. It's real.
It is real.
It's so refreshing. He's just recording his real thoughts.
Yeah.
There's like no edits. There's no nonsense. This is just shit that's in his head all day, every day.
Yeah.
And like so few people are courageous enough to speak out and say something, because like, how do you articulate this in a way that like people are really going to get it? Like most people aren't going to get it.
Yeah.
Like you either already get it and then you just feel validated by seeing a video like this.
True.
Or you just skip past it because you're like, what, slaves? I'm not black, you know, or whatever. I don't even know what people, but slaves is so equated to being black.
I know. I think what you start to realize, because I feel like I've thought this way for a very long time.
Are we still little on the thing?
A very, very long time.
Are we going to?
Yeah, we're still little.
Okay.
You want us to be big for a little bit?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's be big.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've thought this way for a very, very long time. And I think eventually what you realize is that other people don't think this way.
I know.
At all. And it seems like, I don't know that he's realized that just yet.
No, that's why I like, I feel fiery. I'm gonna, this is a spoiler alert, but like, I feel fiery about when he talks about significance. Insignificance is really what he's talking about. But I'm like, dude, you're so fucking significant. Like something must have happened to him. Like how is he, a 21-year-old, able to see through this? And his friends are just like going googly eyed over money. But like what in his life, like what happened? Like something, there was divine intervention in there somewhere, like something like, and I imagine he can even say what it was. Like, oh yeah, when this happened, I started thinking, like when my mom had a stroke in 2011, I literally asked, I said, there has to be more to life than this. Like, I just couldn't believe that all I was going to do was climb the corporate ladder, work, get my 2 weeks off a year and my PTO and like strategically place it when you're not actually sick, but take your sick time. Like, and then I asked my boss, I was like, there has to be more to life than this. Is this it? And he's like, yeah, this is it, Miriam. And I was like, what? I was like, this is crazy. And then people would come up to me and be like, Miriam, I didn't get such and such done today. Like I ran out of time. I got to go home. I got to pick up the kids. I'm like, who cares? Like I became like the most like laid back person ever. I was like, who cares? It doesn't matter. I was thinking these tasks aren't even relevant. You're not a brain surgeon. We're not doing anything real here. We're stocking groceries on a shelf. Like it's not a big deal. It can get done tomorrow. But I want to know like the moment.
Yeah.
Or the series of moments that led to this line of questioning, because you're right. Other people don't think like him.
Yeah, really at all. Yeah, it's a very, very rare type of person that sees it and then is willing to entertain it, because it's very intense. Entertaining, it's very intense. I mean, people call it, that's probably what, existential crisis? Is that the definition of existential crisis, right? It looks something like that.
Yeah.
But the strategies for dealing with existential crisis, that'd actually be interesting to look up. The strategies for dealing with existential crisis, the like mainstream strategies. Oh,
I'm sure it's like positive thought. It's like setting a routine, getting up at like 4 a.m. or 6 a.m. It's those things.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right.
It's basically like avoiding the feeling at all costs.
Yeah. But our strategy, I think separately, and then when we came together too, was to face it head on and to think about it all the time, all day, every day, forever.
To never stop thinking about it.
Yeah. And I think I am glad that we've landed in a place where I feel really resolved in all of it. Like I feel like there's lots of those initial questions have kind of been answered through a spiritual framework, just through looking more and more at reality from this way. And at some point there was just this there was this moment where I think I realized that nobody else is thinking this way, but that's okay. Like I don't need to look out and find the authors or the coaches or the communities of people who think this way. I don't need to find my tribe or whatever it is. Like I get to just think autonomously.
Yeah. Yeah,
I get to
he
think
talks
like
about
as
that.
my actual self.
Yep.
And then I can develop an actual worldview and I can figure out who I actually am. And it's both very relieving, but it's also kind of somber when you look around and you go, wait, nobody else is doing this? And then you kind of have to grapple with the bigger realities of light and dark. And where are we? What even is this? Why did it get set up this way? Why is everyone just going along with it? Like, how are other people's experiences? I think I still have that question to some degree. Like, how do people live with themselves?
I know.
And not grappling with these things.
Right. Yeah, I know. I ask that all the time.
Yeah. But the kind of consensus idea is something like it just goes away. Like if you just pop into the rhythm, you stop questioning these things and you find your place, and the existential crisis just lessens. But that was never my experience. It was always there until I dealt with it, until I blew up all the things that were wrong.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually a pretty novel thought collectively that you can live a life that feels deeply right to you. I don't even know that that's a pathway. Certainly not one that people think about.
No, everyone justifies what they're doing.
Yeah.
And why they're doing it. And it's always for money, which drives me bananas. But that's the thing. But it gets cloaked in like, well, it's just what I have to do in order to take care of my family. Because if I don't take care of my family and I get fired, then we won't have insurance. And it's like, so what? Like, keep playing out the I don't have insurance timeline. Like, where does that really go? Like, and what are the other options? Like, there's like Christian co-ops. There's all sorts of like other things that people do. Or you pay out of pocket, or you pay $10 a month for eternity. Like, it doesn't really matter. It's not so fixed.
Yeah.
But people like live in these fixed realities that they've created for themselves.
Yeah.
To basically temper any sort of spiritual growth or any sort of evolutionary edge, which is like a great play by darkness.
Yeah. Yeah, but when you're willing to look the uncertainty in the eyes and then go explore that thing, like when you're willing to leave your high-paying job, or when you're willing, like I left the marketing agency behind and we left lots of money on the table over the years. But when you do, and then you have the experience of being poor, you realize that being poor isn't actually really that terrifying. And then everything still works out. And then you start to see the like divine safety net that you're being guided through any circumstances. And it was never money that ensured your safety.
But everyone thinks that it is. They're like utterly convinced.
Yeah. Everyone thinks very practically about reality. And you start to see the actual mechanics of reality. And when you let some of those things go, when you're no longer responsible, when you're no longer playing the game to a T, but it takes you letting some of those things slip and feeling through all of the uncertainty and the chaos and the deep despair and that feeling of certain doom. It takes you being willing to face all those hard emotions to then see how reality actually works.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's keep going. What's up, Ben?
Hi, Ben. Did you work today?
Oh, yeah.
Did you?
Let us know.
No, he didn't. I don't think.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. No,
Monday,
maybe he
right?
did.
Maybe.
Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's going to have content for us tomorrow.
I hope so. Maybe tonight.
Ben only works a job for content.
Oops.
We said, are we like doing good for ourselves or are we not? Like when I have family friends like ask me how are you doing, like, and stuff like that, it's almost always concerned with like, oh yeah, like how's school going? Do you have internships? Like, are you like, it's career oriented, right? Which I think goes hand in hand with productivity, because that's kind of how our society or the system has taught us to think. And the irony of this is that at the end of the day, that makes you a slave, right? Like, just like the quote, well, why does it make you a slave? Well, it's simple. If your life is consumed by your productivity, then you're never really getting anything out of it except for the productivity itself. But if you're doing the thing for the thing itself, then that's just a never ending loop. It's a paradox, if you are following me. Like I've done a lot of different jobs. I've done a lot of jobs in like sales and different like lucrative jobs where you can earn a lot more, you take on high risk, stuff like that. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because I met a lot of people, a lot of really young guys. I'm talking like mid to early 20s, making well into their six figures. I know a few like multimillionaires who were in their mid 20s. And the thing about these guys is they're so hyper invested into like every day waking up, doing a cold plunge, going to the gym, eating really healthy, doing this, doing that. I'm not taking away from that. I do a lot of that stuff too. I had a whole time. I used to live in Utah, and I would go to cold plunge all the time, and I would sauna, gym every day, and I still go to the gym like 5-6 times a week, and I have these sort of healthy habits. That's not to be confused with productivity though, because a lot of times the reason these people are doing this, they just want to have like almost trick their own brain to where it's like I always need to be like working, and if I'm working hard, then that's how I'm quantifying my experience. Like the quote says, I'm quantifying my existence through that. And if they're like not working hard, like you hear it all the time, like, oh, I can't not work hard. I always have to be doing something. I hate being lazy. Like I just hate it. And it's like, yeah, I think everybody hates being lazy, but there's a difference between productive, like being super productive, and being lazy. Like it's not one or the other. There's a line, right? And you could be anywhere on this line. And I do believe in hard work. Christ says, you want to work hard. But I think I've been thinking about this a lot, and it's like, these friends of mine that are, I would more refer to them as acquaintances. I don't talk to them like every day, but probably talk to them maybe once or twice a week or something around that. And it's brief conversations, but they're always working. You see like these red pill kind of internet personalities, like Andrew Tate's probably the most popular one. I watch him, and he's always like, gotta escape the matrix. I work my butt off every day, and this and this and this, and he's like super into it.
Before he gets into Andrew Tate,
yeah,
I think it's interesting hearing him grapple with the laziness thing, because that's something we talked about a lot. There's this sense of like, if I'm not playing this productive game that everyone else is doing, then like, what am I doing? Like, what's the replacement? And you end up bumping up against all of those feelings of being lazy. And it's interesting that the way he's kind of reconciling it, it's like, well, if it's a spectrum from lazy to productive, then the productive thing is slavery, and laziness probably isn't good, but maybe there's somewhere in the middle where there's like some sort of balance between being truly lazy and then striving for productivity and playing in the slave system. But it's interesting. I was thinking about this when you showed me this video and we were driving in the car. I don't know that it's possible to disengage from that productivity at all, like even 1%, without feeling lazy.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Right? Like it's not actually a spectrum internally.
Right.
It's like you're either completely pedal to the metal, I'm productive and I'm a good person, or you disengage a little bit and it's like that's the gap between me and everything I'm capable of. Right? It's like there's like I'm not.
That's what they tell you too.
As hard as I can.
That's the like scripted tagline.
Yes. So I'm lazy, and it's weird that actually unraveling that through experience, you end up having to feel consistently lazy and for a very long time.
I would say years, honestly.
Yeah.
I know. I was thinking, so we had an old landlord when we lived in Seattle. She's not old, but we had a landlord when we lived in Seattle, and we moved into her place because she was like just having that moment. She quit her job. She's like, fuck it, I'm not doing this anymore. We're doing van life. Her boyfriend and her daughter, they were all going to travel. Well, they did. They traveled. They did van life, something with ski resorts and sustainability and I don't know, something. But it's funny because she brought all these books with her, these like self-help books.
Yeah. And talking to her at the beginning before she went was very different than talking to her during it.
Yes.
Because she was jazzed. She's like, I'm going to read so many books. I'm going to learn
I'm going to have so much time.
Yep.
Yeah. And then when we saw her like midway through, we went out to lunch with her or something. She ended up becoming like, I don't know, a friend at the time. And she was like, I haven't read any of my books. Like I haven't done anything. Like all I've done is just watch Netflix. Yeah. And then we were like, yeah.
That's how it goes. That's it.
That's probably going to be exactly like 6 more months of Netflix. And she's like, what? Like, because it's so much to unravel from the idea of productivity and what it means to be productive, because everyone around you will see you as lazy, especially the people. If you're in that environment, the work, pedal to the metal, like there's no room for skipping leg day or whatever. I don't know. It's just like, it's so intense. That's why I made the face with the cold plunges. I was like, oh my God, that sounds like my worst nightmare. No. I have no interest. I want to be warm.
You have to
obviously
trick your body into a place where it has energy.
You have to, you're biologically manipulating yourself into a peak state. So then you can go and be successful and then like talk about how great you are. Like, oh yeah, I did my this today and I did that. And And then like Joey, who didn't go, was like, oh man, I didn't go. I'm going to go tomorrow though. It's like, fuck.
Yeah. And then you feel like you're inspiring other people. And it's this kind of continual feedback
it's
loop.
so gross. And none of it's real.
Yeah.
Like it's all just this made up like LARPing.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love this.
I'm glad you love this. This is fun.
Yeah.
I like bringing you videos.
It makes me recognize how much subtlety we've talked about over the years. Because we were talking about this stuff. This was back around the Seattle time. Around
2019.
Mm-hmm. We were running a course
all
called How to Promote Your Soul to CEO. We were in the entrepreneurial circles. So we were like, all right, well, let's do this thing about like soul aligned business. And like, what does it look like to create a soul aligned business and to run business from that deeper sense of rightness, not from the scripts, because everyone's passing around like actually Word docs passing around the exact same sales script, and it's how to manipulate emotion in your clients. It's like that's not what they called it, but that's the actual practical application.
How to make six figures, but it's really called how to manipulate.
How to manipulate
scale.
People to buy things they wouldn't otherwise buy. And you start really thinking about it when you're in that world, and you're like, okay, what is a conversion rate really? Like, okay, if there's the free market and there's everyone that I were to talk to, and I were to just to be completely honest about what this will do for them, there's a certain percentage of people that might buy that. If I'm focused on my conversion rates, I'm trying to get that number up. What does that mean?
Yeah, it means you got to like schmooze a little, fib a little, twist the truth a little bit.
How
like,
much
make some promises.
Manipulation is required to close that gap, and you start to get into really murky moral territory.
One of my hairs is in the crack.
In my glasses. Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, I got it.
I like it there.
Yeah, it's just wispy.
But you start to think about all these business principles, and everyone's talking and conversion rates, and you start to think like you have the thought of like, well, isn't this just kind of measuring how much emotional manipulation you're injecting into your sales processes? And you start to think like that, and you can't unthink it. You can't unsee it. And then you look around, and you're like, man. And then they're like, oh yeah, what's your systems? Like, oh yeah, we just sent another client to collections. And then their script, and that they emotionally manipulated this person into this program, saying it's going to change their life, and it's going to be the thing between them and financial freedom. And then you look 6 months later, and like, oh yeah, we just sent a client to collections. Yeah, they couldn't pay. I mean, it sucks, but you do what you do.
Crazy.
And it's like, wait, like you manipulated this person into a worse financial situation. Like, is this the impact you think you're having? So we started having lots of these conversations and looking at the entrepreneurial circuit, and it was kind of like a spiritual entrepreneurial circuit, which makes it even murkier, grosser. It's like, man, you guys should be the ones that are thinking about this stuff. Like, you should be the ones that are doing things that feel deeply right to you, not just playing the same game as like bros. Like, it's like you should expect more from you, but they were the exact same as everyone else. But I think there was this long period at the beginning. This is why I brought it up, because we were running that How to Promote Your Soul to CEO, and there was this sense of like, you got to stop doing all the things that are wrong first.
Which is like so many things when you get honest with yourself.
Everyone in our course was like, I feel like a lazy piece of shit.
Yeah. All we did, like all of us, was just like eat ice cream and watch Netflix.
Yeah. We're like, you gotta let this shit go. You gotta let this shit go. This productivity shit, all like, you gotta let it all. It's wrong. It's not taking you anywhere. So let's start there. And it takes a fucking while, but you end up in this place where like your kind of life starts to come back.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, like I don't have to turn on anymore.
Yeah, you don't have to play a character.
Who am I now?
Yeah.
And it's like you reach this like, I mean, rock bottom, I guess, but it's this like rock solid foundation of who you actually are. And once that feeling starts to get old, where you're like, I'm so lazy, once that starts to get old, you're like, okay, it's still there. Like I can tell that my emotional system still doesn't particularly like this, but like I can't take it seriously. Now what? And I think the thing, I mean, it's hard to connect this. This is why I love this so much, is because I'm thinking about a stage of these realizations that I haven't thought about in a long time. And I don't really I feel like he's so far ahead of the curve.
Oh my God.
So
yes, that's what I wrote in my first comment. I told him how far ahead he was, but I forgot to add that. Yeah, I know. I know.
He's not only acknowledging these feelings internally, but he's willing to risk his personal identity and his network. Well,
I know he's talking shit about his friends, and his friends know. Sure. If they're watching this, they're like, I'm the fucking guy that makes all that money.
Yeah, it's bold.
Mm-hmm.
It's very bold. And by the time you're talking about it, you've been feeling it for years.
Yeah.
So I love this because he's so far ahead, and like at the same time, there's this like, man, there's so much unraveling that gets to happen. Like it's like, it's exciting, and it's like, man, there's so much fucking ahead, so much to learn, because like you're one of the unique ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're one of the people that actually grows here.
Yeah, say significant. He's one of the significant ones.
That's the thing that I've been kind of grappling with lately. There's a doc that's coming through and that I'm working on. Like the edges of our work is like looking at how people are stuck in time, and what it means to actually grow as a soul, and what it actually means to like work hand in hand with God to become who we're actually here to be.
Yeah.
And like that contrasted with other people who are living the exact same loops and are never developing and never learning more about themselves. It's like, it's weird to be so far ahead just for questioning it at all.
Right.
But that's the reality we're in.
Yeah.
That's it. Like he's already light years ahead. People don't have this midlife crisis until they're midlife, right?
Yeah.
Like to be early, I felt the same. I was that kid. But then you start to push it, and it's like, man, I hardly even know who the fuck I am yet. And then it's like, it's a little exciting because it's like, okay, I'm already ahead. Now I have the rest of my life to see how far I can take this thing. Like, okay, hand in hand with God, let's see how far I can actually go. And there's like, it's exhilarating because you learn more and more about the subtleties, and you learn about like how your biology's emotional response to reality is externally programmed into you, and how it's false data.
Yeah.
You learn that it's not good data. That feeling of laziness is not good data because it is the productivity matrix working its way into your psychology.
Right.
It's the only reason why you feel that emotion in the first place. So not only is it okay to feel lazy, it's necessary to feel lazy.
Yeah.
To push in that direction toward your actual baseline of what you're designed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I fully agree with you. I know. Obviously, I agree with you. I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool.
Ben, did you eat ice cream in that era, 2019?
Oh, I'm sure, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe not.
He's a little like health bouge.
Yeah. It's like, well, no, I skipped a couple days of grass-fed beef.
We'll just take the yes, indeed. We'll take that as his answer. Yes, indeed, he did have ice cream.
Yes. The old answer. All right, let's see.
Okay.
When I had a conversation with my friend the other day, and I was like, the funniest thing is that he's still in the Matrix. And how do I know he's in the Matrix? Is because he's every single day still showing up to his computer, or like still doing these things that
he's talking about
like,
Tate.
oh, I'm working super hard. And like in his mind, he believes that what he's doing is like escaping the Matrix, yada, yada, yada. But it's like, but guess what? You're still showing up every day. You don't have that quote unquote freedom that you talk about, right? Like freedom is what is the opposite of slavery, right? So sometimes when people think slaves, they think of like, plantation slaves or something like that. Really, we need to rework our minds into what slavery really is, because slavery has been around since the beginning of time. It's been in the Bible. It's been in almost every major civilization in the entirety of human history. And, slaves in the Bible and stuff, some of the, like, they would have housing, they would have food. Some of them would receive wages, like through different civilizations. Slavery's been different things, but there's been slaves that got paid. There's been slaves that get half a year off of work. This is true. You can look it up. Like peasants, they would get half the year off because when they wouldn't be making the crops and all this stuff, or like doing whatever, like when it's cold outside, when they can't harvest, like they're not working, and they would receive free housing and stuff like that. So one of the things that I've come to the realization is slavery is mainly just freedom of everything: time, location, financial, everything. You want to be as decentralized from the system as possible. And so a lot of these people,
I want to talk about the idea of slavery and like I guess more so the idea of money, because it's the same thing. We still get free housing or we're paying for it now with money. But before it was free in exchange for work. But now like you've talked about, there's that they've extrapolated. You talk about it. You're better at this.
Yeah, I first started thinking about this when I thought about hiring employees for my marketing agency, and like back in that day, but where you could hire like a VA, like a Filipino VA. And me and my brother were joking about it, and we were like, man, it'd be funny to like have a business called like Filipino Fun Factory, and it's like we like connect all these entrepreneurs that we know with their Filipino VA. And I was like, man, it kind of feels like slavery, doesn't it? And he's like, oh man, you can't say that. And I was like, huh. I was like, that's interesting that I can't say that. Like, you know, it was just kind of like an internal, I was like, that's interesting. I can't say that because I can't see it any other way. And I just had this like little like inner tickle of like,
so
I don't know if this, it might be offensive. It might be, but I can't see it any other way because it was so odd to me, the idea of giving someone money to then do whatever I wanted them to do for like a third of their life. It was the oddest thing to me. And the more that I thought about it, like what we've talked about is how slavery, when you're working for someone and you're getting housing and food and you're doing whatever they want you to do, and they're the ones giving you the housing and food, it feels very direct. It feels very wrong. But if they just give you money and they go, you can live in my housing or you can live in anybody's housing. And then you come back to the exact same place and you do the exact same jobs with the exact same relationship. Like we're just disconnecting it by one little idea. Like by making it money.
Yeah, exactly.
Most people are still trading their time doing something they do not want to be doing for housing and food, just to exist. And I can't see it literally any other way than just an abstracted slavery.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it.
Now you can get into the like, what were the living conditions and like, how did they treat you? How did they like, well, what if you have rights? And it's like, yeah, they could treat you nicely, but if you still don't want to be doing the thing, what's different about it? Like, yes, your quality of life is a little bit better, but what's different about the structure itself? Not much.
Yeah.
And I've never, ever since me and my brother joked about Filipino Fun Factory, I've never been able to see it any other way. It felt so unbelievably wrong. So unbelievably wrong.
Yeah, I know, it's strange because I think we came to talking about this, something with like Amazon. They were going to offer like housing and for their Amazon employees. It was going to be this whole like central hub where like you can live there and then you work in the warehouse downstairs, you live upstairs, there's like cafes. It was this whole idea. I don't know if it ever came to fruition or if those exist at all. But the whole idea was that you would work for Amazon and get to live for free.
Yeah, maybe it's like a concept.
And it just felt weird.
Yeah, very much.
But it's funny that it doesn't feel weird when you get paid by the person. Because then it feels like freedom, because it's like, well, I'm choosing this place to live.
Yes.
Like I'm choosing the food that I eat.
Yeah, it feels like they're helping you, like they're paying you with opportunity.
Yep.
Because your dollars are the thing that purchases opportunities. But it is a little bit murky when you don't want to be doing it, right? That's where the line is. And I don't think we as a civilization have figured that out. And when you look out at the psychology of most people, they're working the job not because they want to, not because they like it, not because they care at all. They're working it because they feel as though they have to.
Right.
And when you get really deep into the psychology, they feel as though if they were to stop working, they would die.
Yeah. I know, it instantly goes to death.
Instantly.
It's so weird.
Instantly.
It's not a slow progression.
No.
It's just die.
It goes to like homelessness for some people, but it's like,
yeah, but
it's not real homelessness. It's like an extreme, like then I'm going to be doing drugs under a bridge and I'm going to get stabbed and then I'm not going to make it a month. It's like, it's this very,
it's like, do you realize how long it would take for you to get evicted? Or like, do you realize how long it would take for you to actually default on your mortgage and how long that process is for them to put a lien against your home? And like, it's such a long process.
Yep.
And then do you realize that there's phone calls that you could make that say like, oh, I'm in a financial tough spot right now, like blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Can you help me?
Churches, charities, there's so much.
Yeah, it's just, but that's not, our psychology is so basic.
Yeah.
We're so basically wired to stay in line.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, and I've talked about this several times, but I think that's why homelessness still exists, because it keeps people in line, because you don't ever want to end up like that homeless crackhead on the corner. So you're like, oh, I got to work. It's like such a subtle thing, but he's just there just to remind you, hey, Danny, he's just there just to remind you to like go to work and be a good person and do your job and stay productive and don't fuck up.
Yeah.
Because if you fuck up, you'll end up like that guy.
Yeah, but little did we know that every homeless person was actually an undercover FBI agent, right? I mean, if only we knew.
That would be
It's been a long
wild.
program since the 80s to scare people into the slave class. I mean,
oh my God, wouldn't that be nuts?
I'm kidding, but that is pretty funny.
That would be some crazy declassified information. That's cool.
That sounds like one of the papers that comes out. Like,
yeah,
Project Crackhead or something. Have you heard about Project Crackhead? Yeah, it's declassified. It's 1974. The FBI.
Yeah. They can't possibly be still doing it. Dude, that shit's so real.
Oh God.
So yeah,
it's interesting. He seems to be seeing it though, right? Like the hustle culture, and it's cool that he's seeing that, like Andrew Tate and the whole let's get wealthy as possible and then have freedom
and get out of the matrix.
You're going to work as hard as you possibly can.
In the matrix to then
in the matrix to then say that you're beating the matrix.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
I know. I liked that he brought up Andrew Tate too. Yeah, cool.
All right, you want to keep going?
Yeah, will you rewind like 15 seconds or whatever the thing is? There we go.
Let me put it back.
Okay.
There you go.
Just freedom of everything, time, location, financial, everything. You want to be as decentralized from the system as possible. And so a lot of these people, they're quantifying their existence through productivity, where they're like, hey, I'm making all this money. Look at me. I can now step out of the matrix. Like, I'm out of the matrix. But guess what you're doing like on Wednesday at 10 o'clock, I know what you're going to be doing. You're going to be working, right? If I know where you're going to be every time at this and this, it's not a flex. I saw somebody,
not a flex.
Someone that I work with, like, they're doing like media, like posting on social media, and they were like bragging about like, I make all this money and, but on every Monday you can catch me at 8 a.m. like getting up, working hard, doing this, doing that. And once again, I'm not trying to knock these people, and on an individual, like isolated, I guess study would be the right word, of these instances. Like, yeah, it's good to get up and like be productive. But the thing is, like, at what cost, right? Because you're putting all this work and you don't care about what the work that you're doing. And excuse me, I've seen so many people that they're like, oh, I love what I do. Like, I love doing this. I love doing this. But like anybody who has any common sense, whatever, understands that like this work, like they're in human resources, like they're like, I've done so many sales for like a variety, like solar, like different, I've done like door to door, I've done like over the phone, like Wolf of Wall Street, that stuff. And these people are like, I'm really helping families. Like I'm helping families. Like I'm doing this. It's like we try to trick our own minds because it's almost like we can't fathom the reality that like what we're doing really doesn't matter. And that at the end of the day, we're doing it for money. And if you do
Yes. I loved that. 100%. Yes. And it reminds me of what I was talking about yesterday in the movie Silo, or the show Silo, where like everyone, like mechanical, thinks they're the most important because they have the generator and they keep the generator going and the generator keeps the silo going. And then the people that make the wool cloths to clean the cameras, they think that they're the most important because otherwise you wouldn't be able to see if it's bad or good outside without the wool cloths. Like there's like this, and everyone is so justified and dignified in what they're doing and how it's good. And how it's like, it's the most important job in Silo. And it's like that here too.
And it's interesting because it's frustrating when you see that people are sort of lying to themselves, but then you kind of step into their shoes psychologically and you realize that they have to because that's the rationalization that balances the existential crisis that you're facing.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you're willing to face that deep existential crisis. You're willing to be the crazy one. You're willing to burn it all down. You're willing to be the one saying, hey, I'm one person and I think everything that everyone around me is doing is wrong, fundamentally wrong. That takes an unbelievable amount of courage.
Yep.
And it takes an unbelievable amount of what almost feels like deep arrogance. Like, because the response is like, who the fuck do you think you are, that you're doubting all of the human civilization and all of our progress? And that's what, like, Jordan Peterson would say, like, go clean your room, and then once you figure out how to take care of your own life, then you can start addressing the actual concerns. That he's almost word for word, that's what he says. So it takes an unbelievable amount of courage to go, no, like, I think I'm 100% right. I just do. I can't see it any other way. And since 99% of people aren't capable of being with that degree of emotional tension, they have to have that rationalization,
right?
Because it goes hand in hand. It's a thing that allows them to exist.
Yep.
Because otherwise their psychology isn't stable.
No.
They could not function if they thought about their life the way they actually think about their life.
Right.
Because you can get them drunk and at 2 a.m. they'd be like, man, this shit's so stupid. I hate my fucking job. But the next day they're gonna be like, this is so important to me. It has, and it's like they have to constantly gaslight themselves to maintain a sense of stability doing what they're doing.
Yep.
It's what holds their whole reality together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's like a little bit less, it's a little bit like, why are you lying to yourself? This is so stupid. And it's like, oh, it's more of like a, ooh, oh, like I can't really touch that. Like I can't call out something that looks so simple to me, because to you, I'm calling out your entire foundation for your existence. I'm calling out your sanity. Yeah. Yeah. And if you believe me, even for a second, if you entertain it, you're going to slip into that feeling of deep existential crisis, which I know is hard because, I mean, I faced it for like years. It took me a long time to like live with myself. Like, oh, okay. So like you probably don't want to do that yet. Okay. Yeah, that actually makes sense. There's like, it's not quite compassion because I still think it's stupid.
Right.
I don't agree with it.
But you can see.
But you can understand.
Yeah.
It like mechanically makes sense inside of the psychology. It's like, oh, it has to be rationalized, or else they don't have emotional stability.
Right.
Like, ooh.
Yeah. I know, because what I wrote in my comment, and I talk about this all the time, is like the people that work at the DMV, I think are just the dumbest fucking people. It's just so blatantly obvious that like you wouldn't be doing this. Like if the government didn't assign this as a task, that we need to have license and registration and like if this wasn't like an assigned rule set to our slave system, you wouldn't be the little slave person that you are behind the desk that's all like, do you have this paperwork? Do you have this? Oh, you got to come back tomorrow. You don't have the appropriate stuff. It's like, who would you be? Like, that's the thing that confuses me. I stare at those people and I'm like, what would they do outside of this? Like, would they be anybody? Like, do they have any hobbies? Like, do they have any interests? Like, this is just what they are. They just do this for 40 plus hours a week. They sit here and they're just little gremlins and they're so fucking slow and so inefficient. It's like, that all of that aside, because it definitely attracts like a certain archetype of person. But I think the unfortunate truth is that they would just slide into the next role that's just as meaningless and just as made up.
Yeah. Oh, did you find a new job, Jim? Oh, yeah. Recently I learned how to code, and now I'm debugging the Chinese software for the social credit score. It's pretty cool. When people jaywalk, it facial recognizes them, and it runs it across the database, and it just hits them with a little bit of a fine, and then they can't buy housing. I mean, it's pretty cool. We're all going to be really good soon.
Preventing jaywalking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You just slip into the next made up. Yeah, that's it. Government job. Because I would like to think that, like, in my like delusion, my optimistic delusion, I would like to think that, oh my God, people are going to realize what the fuck they're in and what they're doing, and that their life is meaningless and they haven't done anything. They've never amounted to anything. They've just been punching in and punching out for 40 fucking years. Yep. Like, oh my God, this is great. They're going to actually realize that it was all a sham, and they're going to do something cool. They're going to like play guitar, or they're going to sing finally. They're finally going to like sing or take singing lessons that they've always wanted to do, or whatever the fuck the thing is. But chances are, like, that is why it's delusional, because it won't happen.
Mm-hmm.
For most people, it won't happen because it's too unbearable to look back at your life and realize, oh my God, for the last 40 years, I've been living a lie. Like, I've hated my job and I've still kept doing it. For what?
Yeah. Yeah.
They won't come out of it. I know they won't.
Yeah. In our model, all the levels of clearance, it starts out at the core three. And the core three is like the core three pillars of psychology of most human beings on earth. And the first one is survival-based action. And it's all based on obligation. If I do A, B, and C, then I will get D, E, and F. And if I don't, then I'll die. Everything will go to ruin. So it's like all of life's obligations get interwoven into just core basic survival.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you hear things like, well, I have to get up and I have to go to work tomorrow. And everything's like, I have to. And one of the things that lots of personal development coaches start working with people on is like, okay,
I get to.
Yes. You don't say I have to anymore, because you don't have to do anything. And that's revolutionary for people. And they say, yeah, so either say I get to, or right now I am choosing to do this. Right?
You just brainwash yourself.
You're kind of unbrainwashing yourself to some degree, though, because it's right. You don't have to. But then you pop into this place, and the next two levels. You
don't actually learn that.
But that's what it's based on. That's what it's based on. But that's not the point. That's not the point.
But in the experience,
yes,
you don't actually feel that way. Like, you still feel like you have to go to work, but you just choose your words differently.
You just change your language. Yes, you're right. You're 100% right.
The feeling is like, oh, but I still have to do it. I mean, I have to do it. I have to go.
Yes,
but I get to.
Right.
But you in the mirror.
The mantras change nothing. I agree.
In the mirror, you're like, but I get to go.
Yes, like, you are kind of gaslighting yourself.
Yeah,
it's like trained Stockholm syndrome.
Yes. Okay,
100%.
I just want to be clear.
But there is an actual pop that does happen for people when it is real.
Okay,
where they start to realize that they can create a life of their preference.
Oh,
that's a big realization. And that's where you get into like Daniel Laporte, like core desired feelings, or you get into like, oh, Ty Lopez says that if I read books, then I can go and make $1 million, and like, I want his Lamborghini. And you chase either material or emotional desires. And those are the core three: survival, material, and emotional desires. But then right next in the model is that there must be more to life than this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's to me, what this whole video's theme is that we're watching. And it's interesting because from there, it goes into an education phase. And in that education phase is like global education, and then impact-driven action, and then etheric education, or more spiritual education, exploring whether or not there's more to reality than just the physical. But it's interesting because the way he's talking is about being location independent and creating financial abundance and not having to sit down at the laptop to do work.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a very like Tim Ferriss 4-hour work week style thing. And that's the exact same things that, I think we both chase to some degree.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure.
And what I see most people who come to these exact same conclusions chasing, and we were in a community in California of basically everyone believed the same thing. Mm-hmm. There has to be more to life than this. I'm going to explore spirituality. I'm going to explore entrepreneurship. I want to live the best possible life I can. Mm-hmm. And we were around probably, I think there was about 10,000 people at the time in that little community. Everyone thought basically the exact same. And it was all these themes. And then you start to realize, and it's a little bit unfortunate, that it's the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. That instead of having a boss that's holding you to this with money, you do the exact same thing to yourself. Mm-hmm. And it's still all the exact same mechanisms. It's like, it doesn't matter whether you work for yourself and you have to go sit down, or whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're an employee. There's this element of like, I need to do this in order to survive. Mm-hmm. And I think you start to realize at some point that it's a psychological matrix. It's not a real physical, tangible thing. It's not like, oh yeah, all you people that go to work, like that's dumb, but like I get to go live wherever I want and do whatever I want because I have this exact business that I need to manage in this exact way. In order to manage this, I have to do this, and I need to work on my conversion rates and my Facebook ads. It's like, yeah, that is a different life. It's an alternative life, but you live that life and then you make the money and then you get the freedom and then you don't feel free. Mm-hmm. And it's like, man, it's actually even more complicated than that.
Right.
And that's the depths that I'm unbelievably fascinated with, and I'm curious where this whole world goes, because we're only getting deeper and deeper into the slave system, right? Like the idea of even becoming an entrepreneur or creating location or time freedom or whatever it is it's ahead. It's unbelievably ahead.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, even then, it's still stuck inside of the same thing. Like, that we need a massive psychological upheaval. And the only way to do it, I mean, from our perspective, is to trust your intuition and to let life unfold and to let all of this stuff break and to only do things that are deeply, deeply right to you at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right.
Okay. Can you do the boop, boop backwards play?
Sure. Couple.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like we can't fathom the reality that like what we're doing really doesn't matter, and that at the end of the day we're doing it for money. And if you do all these things and you're working super hard and it's just for the money, then you're the ultimate slave, right? And what I'm realizing is like this system that we all grew up in, this school system that sends us into college and does this and this and this. Let's not lie to ourselves. College was created for one thing, and that's to build workers. I mean, Rockefeller himself, and I think he funded like the college board or, helped like start the education system. He said, I'm not in the business of building thinkers. I'm in the business of building workers. So literally they're like, the whole idea that this education is not for you to become rich. They want you to be an employees and make them rich, right? He even had a quote where he said, if they're working all day, they're going to be too busy to think. And so what I've realized is like having free thought is so important. In future videos, I really want to talk about this idea of free thought.
Do it.
You really
do those videos.
To, learn how to disassociate from these sort of sentiments that are really popular in your culture, your media, all the things you consume, right? You need to be able to step back and look at it from a non-ego perspective and sort of have no attachments, right? But, I see it and, I appreciate what my family's done, but, all of them, like, I hate to say it sounds so negative, but they're all slaves, including myself. At this moment, when I'm recording this video, I consider myself a slave as well. We're all working these jobs, like putting in the long hours, putting in effort. And like, what do you get out of it? You just get by. And that's getting by. It's not freedom. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, I'm just making enough money to pay off my bills. Like, I'm just making enough money to do this. I had a job recently and I was making really good money, making like $25,000 if I put in all the hours a month, which is like really good money. It's not top 1%, but it's like top 3% or something like that. And I'm only 21 and I had this job and I was doing it and I was slaving away at it. And I just like didn't enjoy it at all. Like I didn't like what I was doing at all.
I love that he said I was slaving away at it. I don't even think he knows he said that. Thought. Yeah.
And I kind of was looking around at, the office space that I was working at and everybody was drinking the Kool-Aid where I worked, like, oh, I'm making all this money, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, dude, we're just like, what does it say about us? Like, we're just here for the money. And everyone's like, we're helping families. Like, we're helping people like be better with their finances. And, it's like, it was a financial job. And I was just like, but what even is money? It's just like a made up concept. And it just seems like everybody's like, if I'm productive, that's what matters, yada, yada. But like the funny thing is it's like that as individuals, the truth is we are so insignificant. I mean, we're all made from the same organic decaying matter as literally everything else. Like we're not significant. And although that might seem super negative, I view it as positive because it's like, it's freeing because since you're so insignificant, you can do anything good or bad. And it's not really going to matter. So if you fail, there really isn't failing because it's so insignificant, it doesn't matter. And if it goes good, then it goes good. You know what I mean?
I get where he's coming from.
Yes. But I think this is where we definitely differ ideologically.
Yeah, but also he's putting himself in that class of being insignificant.
Yeah, he's also putting himself in the class of being a slave, which is it's a ballsy but like cool thing to say.
Well, and he's putting me in the class of being insignificant, Ethan, and I'm not okay with that because
That's true.
I am not insignificant.
Well, I think because he talks about God, right?
Yeah.
I don't think the idea of God is compatible with the idea that we're insignificant. The idea that we're insignificant is very like scientism. It's very like like
It's
we big banged
atheistic.
into existence. It's a very atheistic perspective. But
Yep.
the idea that God created us and that there is some sort of external benevolent wisdom that we have access to, that idea is incompatible with the idea that we're insignificant.
Right. That confused me with his map.
Because there's something unbelievably significant about our being here if we have some degree of connection to God. There's some degree of intelligence in the design of this place, not just in like matter and atoms, but like in the way that we're experiencing life. And I think that's the thing that we think about most often, are the themes that come up in life. And it's cool watching this overall theme of money not being real and life being insignificant coming up so deeply in his life. And the way that you make progress is by engaging with it, by engaging with that theme, by engaging with all the hard emotions, by grappling with it, by doing videos about it, by talking it out. Like that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, at least, those thoughts come from God. Those thoughts come from our intuition, from our connection to God, from an external benevolent wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And when that's the reality that we're living inside of, and you look out at other people who seem to not have access to it at all, there's immediately something profoundly significant with having these thoughts at all,
Right.
with questioning the system at all. Because when you really value God and you learn to feel that deep rightness, or you learn to feel that external benevolent wisdom, and you start to orient your life to it, of like, why does everything feel wrong everywhere? This is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go, but what would be right? And you find it.
Mm-hmm.
When you start doing that and you organize your life around that rightness, that to me is the closest thing in my physical experience to God.
Yep.
Everything else is just ideological. I can read about it. I can like read about Job and how he struggled and how God, like gave him more children after Satan collapsed his house and all his kids. Like I can read the stories, but it means nothing to me at the end of the day. The thing that's real to me in my actual experience is like, yeah, but I can feel that there's a deep inner rightness. I have a moral code.
Yep.
And my moral code seems to match up with basically everyone else's moral code. And if we really sit down and we talk through all the nuance and all of it, we're all feeling the same thing. We can feel when something's wrong, and we can feel when something's right. And the people who have that bright look in their eyes have more access to that thing of rightness. Like that's weird.
Yep.
That the actual experience maps to the idea of God.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the reality we live in, there's no way that we're insignificant.
Right.
Maybe life in general without any of that is insignificant.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't really matter. Like it's just the same machine rolling along, and whether it's like Jimmy or John or Frank or Laton, whatever, that are working.
You're trying to be diverse.
Yes. Or kimchi, regardless of who it is. He says later in the video, diversity hires. Yeah. So yeah, whether it's the whites or the diversity hire, it doesn't matter who's playing the role. The same exact function's getting done at the end of the day, right? There is something deeply insignificant about that. But when you're questioning the system and you're asking those questions, you're suddenly becoming a more significant player in the global landscape.
Yep.
And if you're fighting for that rightness, which is the only thing in my experience I can map that rightness to, is God. When you're working for the rightness that is God and everyone else is ignoring it, that's even more significant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, for fuck sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know. Well, even like his 4 a.m. chats with God. I mean, he says their ideas and he's up at 4 a.m., but it's like
that's how I experienced it my whole life too.
I'm like, that's totally God.
I had like an hour and a half commute, and then I would just do audio recordings to myself.
Yeah.
I would just talk things out, and that's where I would have, it's the only spot I had clarity in my whole life. Everything else was confusing. But I just knew things when I was talking about that I didn't actually know outside.
That's how I felt about Bikram yoga when I was like still like working at the grocery store.
Yeah.
I would like leave. I would always leave on time when I had Bikram yoga, and then I would go, and then I would have so much clarity.
Yeah.
But other than that, a mess.
Yep. Yep.
And things were so simple.
Yeah.
Like the clarity was so simple and obvious.
Yeah.
And not easy to follow through on.
Yeah. And the more that I've thought about it, I've been thinking about this for a very, very long time and trying to figure out ways that I could be wrong about this, but I can't. The only way that I can really reconcile into a map that works and actually describes my reality is that is an external intelligence. It's not us. I can't make it like a flow state. I can't make it a pocket of my consciousness that I'm accessing. I can't make it any of that and have it actually map to what I'm actually experiencing. The only way I can make sense of it is this is external. This isn't actually me. And this force is benevolent. It's good. There's something even better than I am, and like it's like I feel like I'm like nothing compared to, like, it's like, holy crap, this it's like all wisdom, and it just is good. And then I look around and I'm like, what words are there to describe that? I'm like, okay, only God's the only word I can use to describe that.
Yeah, and I can see where the insignificant piece comes from when you're looking out there, because then what he's saying is like, if you fail, you fail. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's low risk.
And if you succeed, you succeed.
Yeah.
But I still, that like slips into atheism for me.
Yeah.
But I see what he means.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little fragile, because you have to also grapple with, if I'm insignificant, why does it matter if I go pursue any of these dreams whatsoever? Like, at the end of the day, it's not going to matter whether I'm a slave or not a slave, because I'm insignificant. Like, how much do I really value my own experience inside of that? But it is interesting, because he does seem to really value the experience that he's having, right? And like the insignificance right now seems like it's a buffer to that idea that like it's going to make other people angry, or it's not going to fit in, or it's like it's going to be a really big deal if he does that. It seems to be like the perfect buffer, actually. Like, it's like, yeah, I'm insignificant. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, it's if I'm a fucking loser, who cares? And it seems to buffer out all of the external pushback, which we all fucking feel when we do something new. So I think in that way it works, and it's functional.
Yeah, and saying he's a slave too, that did the same thing.
Yep. Yeah, it's functional, but I think ideologically I disagree in the grand scheme, and I imagine he'll disagree in the grand scheme. But it's cool seeing
just
the
read my comment
function.
Then you'll see. Yeah. I know that one had me. I was like, no. We're not playing that.
Yeah. All right, you want to keep going?
Yeah, keep going. We're almost done.
All right, let's do it.
I love this.
Yeah, me too. This is fun.
Because it's so insignificant, it doesn't matter. And if it goes good, then it goes good. You know what I mean? And so, but like, all these people were just, everyone's slaving away. And it's like, what do you get out of it? In future videos, I'm going to talk more about the idea of like slavery. And I think it's going to be a reoccurring theme that in my videos. But yeah, these are just sort of my thoughts about this. It doesn't make sense to put all your time and effort and everything into this, and then you're just getting by, and then like you feel like pride, or like that's how you're basing your mentality or like your well-being off of, is like whether you're being productive. But like, what are you being productive for? Like, I don't understand. You're being productive and it amounts to nothing. That's the truth. And I hate to sound negative. It's in my head, it's not negative. It's just like a neutral approach to it.
Just truth.
Yeah.
Just truth.
It is true. Yeah.
And other people will perceive it as negative, and it doesn't fucking matter.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I challenge you guys, the viewer, to like really think about that. Hey, is it worth it if I put in all this time? You know, my family, and this is super normal, you know, everybody, but like, I think about my parents, and I think about how, you know, my parents spend more time at work, doing work, talking to people, their coworkers, and communicating with them than they do with their own family. And, you know, I hold nothing against them with that whatsoever. And I do the exact same thing. I've worked more than I've spent time with my family since I've gone into the workforce. But it's like, what is my priority then? If I'm literally spending, I'm communicating with my coworker more than my family, that would die for me. So like, what does that show about me? And it's like, you know, it's like, oh, it makes me feel good because I'm like working. It's like, what does it amount? Like, I'm working to get the money, and then what do I do with the money? Like, I'm just a consumer. And like, I'm going to talk about that in another video, but like the problem with consumerism, it's like all these things.
No, Ethan, but you don't understand. Once you're 75 and your parents are dead, you can finally spend the money to live a good life.
Oh my God. I had a friend in college that he was all about retiring. Like, he couldn't wait until he was 65 to retire. That's why he was working so hard. I was like, wait, that's weird. Like, we're like 20. Like, what are you doing?
I know.
What are you doing? Sad. Yeah, he was like, well, I'm just going to work really hard for the next however many years, 40 something years. I don't know. I thought it was crazy.
Yeah.
I did not relate.
Do you think that's common?
What?
Maybe not, right? You think it's common that people think that way?
No.
Like, seriously? No,
I don't think so. He was the only one in our friend group that thought that way.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes I lose sight of how people actually think. That's why shit like this I love. I
Yeah.
love shit like this.
Yeah. I don't know how people actually think. Keep going.
Okay.
They're meaningless. They don't
Go
do
back.
anything. So what I do with the money, like I'm just a consumer, and like I'm gonna talk about that in another video. But like the problem with consumerism, it's like all these things, they're meaningless. They don't do anything for us, and I think it's like one of those things where it's eye opening. You know, like where do I go from here? And so I don't know
Good question.
the answer, and that's part
Very good
of
question.
this
Good answer.
channel. I just like I don't know the answer, but sometimes it's important to know what isn't the answer, what's not the right path to take, what's not the thought process I should follow. But yeah, I mean, this is just my thoughts, and I could be wrong, but
You're
I
not.
just wanted to share it with you guys. More videos to come, hopefully in the future.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but it depends on who you ask. If you ask most people, you're wrong.
But if you ask us, you're right.
I'll upload. I'm not sure how often, but I have a notes app, and it's like literally hundreds and hundreds of different video ideas.
Funny.
It's actually like 4:30, like 4:45 in the morning when I'm recording this, because I just stay up all night thinking about these different thoughts. But if you learn anything from this video, I'd like you to just understand that, your worth and all this stuff is not based off of your productivity. Like I look at all these adults, and they it's like this person has this career, and they're making X amount of money, and this person has this career, but it's like none of them have done anything significant. That's just the facts, right? None of them have ever done anything significant. And that's not rude. I haven't done anything significant either. Like
Not true. This video is significant. That was another thing that bothered me, Ethan.
I'm just being real about it. But it's like, they just want us to follow in their footsteps, like go get some job. I don't know. Like I had a friend who recently got hired at what is it, like Goldman and Sachs. Like he's working in mergers and acquisitions. Like that's like a dream. Like for many people,
Boring.
if you are familiar or not, that's like you make so much money. Like it's like 300K. I think he's making 200K his first year, and then like there's ways to work up the chain. And I was like, bro, like congratulations, but at the same time, like, damn, bro, you're a slave. Like like you can never convince me for 1 second that you want to be sitting in an office grinding Excel sheets to like figure out how the merger is going to work with the numbers and everything, and like sitting in a room with a bunch of like diversity hires where it's like everyone has to be politically correct and do this and this, and it's just like, oh my gosh, like there's no way that's life, and everybody is just doing it because we quantify our existence with productivity, and that's part of the reason why we're like all slaves. So if you want to break out of this chain, like you essentially have to find a way to restructure your mind to no longer think in terms of productivity. I don't want this to be like an excuse to be lazy. I'm not lazy myself. Like I'm not saying be lazy. But if you don't go 100% all in on like some random job for like some employer who doesn't care about you, who on your 25th anniversary of working at the company is just going to send you an email with like the CEO like holding up, you know what I mean? Like there's nothing wrong with that if that's not something that you're trying to do. So this is just food for thought. More videos to come.
Let's go.
How to tile a bathroom floor. Okay. I think it's going to start auto playing something.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I like this guy.
Huh.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, what'd you think?
I thought
Danny,
it was good.
Ben, what did you guys think?
Yep.
What'd you do?
Reset the chat.
Mm.
I think it broke for a second.
Cool. Yeah, I just thought that was so good. I just love that video.
Yeah.
Oh, we were going to go through the comments.
Oh, yeah. He says he seems spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's go through the
All right,
comments. I did not read them.
Oh yeah, it's fascinating to me.
Yeah, where people are at. This is like the best part.
Very much so.
It's cool to see him and the Allison lady and their perspective and what overlaps.
Yeah, I know. I like doing this because it feels like it's cool to talk about things that we agree with, not just rip into things that make us furious.
Yeah.
Because I feel like lots of our journey has been like, okay, let's talk about New Age spirituality. Let's talk about manifestation. Let's talk about what all of these people think that makes them unbelievably naive, ungrounded, and just tools for a larger dark agenda. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about how most of spirituality is the exact same as ancient Babylonian black magic. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how Levian Satanism is the exact same thing that all of these entrepreneurs are doing. Let's talk about, like, let's rip into everything. But it's nice to kind of go into some pockets where we're like, okay, yeah, we agree. 100%. This is great.
Yeah.
That's great. Yep, keep going. This is great. Fantastic. Yeah, it's like relieving. Okay, so let's check out the comments because this is fascinating to me.
Okay. Let's read mine.
Okay, yeah, you want to?
Wait, because Ethan needs to hear it how I was saying it.
Okay.
Dude.
Minutes ago.
Dude. Well, actually, I wrote it earlier, but it never submitted.
Yeah, this is the second time you wrote it.
Yeah. Dude, keep following these 4 a.m. threads. You're spot on. There's a lot to be gleaned from this way of seeing the world. I often think of the people working at the DMV. That job only exists because the government says so. What would they do if it didn't exist? Who would they be? What would they create? Anything? Unfortunately, I think they just slip into the next unfulfilling made-up job. Where I disagree is the part on significance. You, my friend, are significant as fuck. Not everyone has eyes to see like you do, and you're right. They'll never do anything here. They'll never do anything that matters, and that's a sad truth to realize when you look around. You can tell me everyone else is insignificant, but you're not. No shot. God has definitely intervened in your life in order for you to be blessed with this site. Keep going. Keep posting these videos. I'm so here for this. Miriam.
It's very cool.
Yep. Okay. What did other people say? Mine needs to be the top comment. But
strong. I'm 14 and this is deep energy.
Okay. Oh, am I too old to be here? Okay.
No. To be honest, you either use your 9 to 5 to fuel your lifestyle or you choose a career which, yes, becomes your life.
Okay. That's very Andrew Tate. Justification. Okay.
W YouTube suggests for putting this here. Great video, bro.
Okay.
Pretty good. This is what I thought was interesting.
Okay.
I'm 22. I think it's just the phase of life that we're in.
No.
18 to 24 is when a lot of things get sorted out in a person's life. It's going to feel mundane and it's going to be rough, but we'll come out on the other side, on the other end, better off for it.
No.
If we make the right decisions during this phase that set us up for freedom later on.
No.
Absolutely not.
Well,
this is the phase of life where you go to sleep.
Yeah.
And if
TV head. His name's TV head.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Yes.
Plant.
Honk shoe.
Yeah.
Oh, and I
totally agree.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm 24 and in the past year I've been able to feel my frontal lobe developing.
How do you feel that?
I don't know. But my friends who turned 24 to 25 before me told me the same. I can suddenly see nuance and my mindset has completely changed. Everything the adults told me growing up turned out to be true all along. But unfortunately, it seems you need to reach your mid-20s for it to really sink in.
Coffin baby. I mean, dead.
Yeah, TV head and
Coffin baby.
Yeah. Coffin Baby continued by saying that 10 years plus of therapy taught her that hustle and grind culture goes against everything we know about self-actualization and inner peace. My depression was never a chemical imbalance. It was because I was constantly beating myself up with the idea of not being productive enough.
I'm bored.
Yeah.
Gratitude.
Yeah, it's sad because it like all misses the point.
Mm-hmm.
It all misses the main point. Because the central thread is like, hey, do you guys also see that everything feels wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Like, does that mean anything to anyone else?
And they're like, no, it's going to feel better later. Like, you just need to get older.
You're just young.
Yeah, since you're 21 and I'm 24, I know more than you.
Yes.
That's like, it's so elementary.
Very much so.
Okay.
Very much so.
Let's keep going.
Okay. Well said. I've also felt the same way while thinking twice about everything my whole life. Pretty good. Good. He's offline, but he's right. I don't know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
I always hustled and it got me sick, constantly ill at 23. Something had to change.
Interesting. Carly?
Yeah. I love conversations like this. I myself have thought a lot about what really matters and there's no solid conclusion. But the way you quantify what matters to you should be all that matters in my opinion, whether that's making a lot of money or being free from that cage that is obligation. There always needs to be balance, though. Sometimes you just need the money. No one is more significant in the grand scheme of things, but in the moment, these ideas all come together into a real experience. As you get older, you learn to separate things you wish from the things that are necessary. Just try to give yourself grace and acceptance no matter where you are in life, and also give that to others. Know that people, he like started off with his own thoughts, and then he just was like, let me open my book of cliches to finish off this paragraph. Yeah, I was going to say,
and then he ChatGPT'd that spark.
I thought this was funny. Bro dressed like a Pee-wee coach telling me how to live. I did find that funny. That one I did laugh at. Although I'm sure he won't like it very much. But that did make me laugh. That did make me laugh. And then we got a for real. Just a for real. Bible verses. And then this guy just disagrees.
What does he say?
Not every slave justified their existence through productivity, and not everyone who justifies their existence through productivity is a slave. He's just getting very pedantic. But
he's in his name.
That tends to be what shroomheads do, is get very pedantic about things.
Yeah, man, it's fucked. Let's see.
Yeah, this is a perspective you should take if you're interested in rapid failure. Very similar to the philosophy described by Lanza before the school shooter, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where his YouTube channel got taken down.
Come on. Was he even real?
Don't do that. If you view portions of you existence through a slave freedom dynamic, you will inevitably come to the conclusion that the destruction of the entire system is the only option that just creates more suffering for everyone. That is completely untrue. Completely untrue.
Yeah, just retarded.
That's
But wait,
crazy.
I wanted to see that top one.
What, the man, it's fucked. Oh, yeah. I bought a car so I could go to work. Now I have to work to pay off my car. The system is so insidious because it traps you like this. I'm an apprenticeship to be an electrician.
Good.
Better than most.
Stay with it.
My hope is that it'll work busy in the summer, then I'll take the winters off for the slow season once I have my electrical license. You probably won't, but it's okay. But it sucks. We got to hope that someday maybe we'll work enough to not have to work. LOL. That won't happen, but you can find peace anyway.
Yeah. Ideally, you would like being an electrician and you would just work whatever jobs are there. But it seems like you're becoming an electrician for money.
Yeah, that's possible.
Because why would you want to take winters off? Like, that's so weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to take any days off.
This is crazy. This has 3 likes. That says if you think like this, you're going to kill people. That's crazy to me. Crazy. That's insane.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't surprise me.
And then just seek God.
Okay. With a little g. Everyone, right? Maybe they should do a big G.
Just a little g. Create a new system then, my guy. LOL.
Oh, okay. Jim Mix-a-Lot.
Yeah, this guy watches Jordan Peterson. That's the Jordan Peterson line.
My guy. You're so rude.
Well, there's a lot of complexity that goes into the human system.
And then are you going to read someone else?
No.
Okay.
No.
But wait, what was the last one? I didn't see it. But you're a biological
system that justifies its existence through what exactly? You are not free because you are enslaved to live in your body. Shaped by billions of years of cultural and biological evolution that forces you to think and act certain ways. If you don't have any goals or values, why even exist? Working is one way of addressing that problem.
That was good. Toenail. Toenail. Tuniel. Toniel.
Yeah, see, like I feel like you post a video like this thinking like, oh, other people probably think like me. And then you get like, what are you gonna do? Kill everyone? And then like, well, don't worry. If you do enough therapy, you'll realize that
once you're 25,
there's not really a problem with the system. The problem's with your brain. It's so underdeveloped. That's why you have existential crisis. But once you see it, you can't unsee it, right?
I know.
Like once you see
he's not going to be 25 and be like, oh, I was wrong when I made that video when I was 24.
No, you have to pretty consciously do
21.
It. He'll still have the exact same opinions.
Oh, yeah. It'll just
the worst that could happen is
more refined.
He resigns himself to it. I'm like, well, maybe that is all there is.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing that could happen.
That'd be sad. And then
you could still talk to him and have a conversation. But like, do you still have that way up? You'd go, absolutely, 100%. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but then he would never do what he's really supposed to do here. And that would be annoying. Then I would call you insignificant, Ethan.
That's very true. I love that you keep addressing him directly.
Well, like because he needs to. He's going to watch, and he needs to know.
Think?
Yeah,
that's funny. Maybe
he'll watch. He might even be here now.
It's true. It's just hanging out with Ethan. No, yeah, it's good. It's good. This was good.
I know. I thought it was a cool one.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish more people thought like this. I really
know.
do.
I was so surprised to see it in my algorithm because...
Yeah, the video itself gives me some hope for humanity. The comments make me want to Adam Lanza myself. Not really. Not really. It's just discouraging seeing where most people are. But then, right, then you have to like look at it objectively and go, okay, well, that is what makes me significant, which is why I have to keep going. That's why I have to continue doing this.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, you'll find the people that agree with you eventually. It's just going to take a while. I think it's worse if your prefrontal cortex is developed. Then you're like solidified into the brainwashing. Like at least you're like malleable and thinking.
Yeah. I caught mine pretty early. My mom died at 18, did the entrepreneurial thing and traveled the country till what, like 21?
Yeah, you've always been years ahead of your time. Like ridiculously so.
And then met you when I was 23. Started channeling.
Yep.
Yeah. And now I'm 31. Jesus. I liked being the young one.
I know, now you're not anymore.
It was very satisfying having these sorts of conversations with people and then watching their eyes glaze over or being like, wow, you're really wise for your age. Wow, you're such an old soul.
You are.
But I imagine, I'm actually curious where things go for him. I imagine that he'll be able to get into some sort of entrepreneurship or some sort of location independent thing and travel for a bit and like explore the world and have a lot of fun and fuck some Brazilians or something, get like some life experiences out and like.
Don't impregnate them though.
And I think that'll actually be a pretty good chapter of life, whatever he's being called to. Because there's just an exploration where you got to get out and like explore. It's all of your adolescent desires at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's like okay, if I'm living someone else's life, that's obvious to me. Like, let me think of everything I can possibly think of that I want.
Is that one of your adolescent desires to fuck Brazilians? Yeah.
No, what are you? What?
I'm not Brazilian.
No, I know. I was going to say that's one of my deepest desires.
You don't know what German and Irish.
You're German and Irish?
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't know that. Yeah, I figured Irish.
Yeah.
Are you like a substantial percentage Irish?
I don't think so. I mean, it's like a mix. I don't know the percentages.
Oh.
I never submitted my DNA to the government.
That's true. But just like the general family lore, you're German Irish.
I would say like 50-50.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I would call that substantial.
Okay.
I'm half Japanese.
That's true.
I think that's pretty substantial.
Yeah, that is.
It's like a core pillar of my identity.
That's true. And we use it so we can make offensive jokes.
Yeah, so I can be the diversity hire.
Yes.
And if I'm the diversity hire, then I can make diversity hire jokes.
Exactly.
Someone did actually say in the comments like, oh, bro, don't, like, I was with you until the diversity hire joke.
Wait, really?
Yeah, some things are good. Or it was like something like that. Or like, don't talk bad about good things. And I was like, oh, Jesus.
Diversity hire is retarded.
Jesus. Yeah, I mean, the thing I'm thinking about a lot recently is how like time and our actual age and our actual wisdom and our progress as a soul is measured by like these sorts of conversations.
Yeah.
Like grappling with these kinds of things inside of us and then making decisions on them at the end of the day. Once you're clear, making decisions on them. Like, you know what? I'm actually not going to take the next 35 years of my life to do this thing that I already know is a waste of time. And immediately you save 35 years of life, collapse down that wasted time that everyone else is spending. And then you start where they would be in 35 years. Like there's legitimate progress there.
I know, that's what I see for him too.
Yeah, very much so. And that's what, at the end of the day, like it's the comments of like, you sound like a 14-year-old kid trying to act wise or whatever. Like it's sad that they, one, don't fucking realize what's up here. But hopefully, if you do ever watch this, Ethan, hopefully you know that you're ahead as fuck. And that this only keeps going. And that whatever adventures you get into, wherever this road takes you, you're going to immediately be even more ahead than you are now. And there's no ways to fuck it up. There's no ways to fuck it up at all.
Mm.
Because you're going to be grappling with this at fucking 3 a.m. for years,
Yeah.
truthfully, and you're going to find something at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing you'll find is more of yourself, and you'll know who you are. You'll look back and you go, ooh, man, I can't believe when I was 22, I like played out all of that shit. Like, I can't believe that I thought that's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't play it out, you'll never know, right? Like, you just got to
Mhm.
kind of go for it and explore and see what's there. But at the end of the day, you'll find yourself
It's true.
because you're already way ahead of the curve.
Oh my God. Crazy.
Yeah. It might be helpful to think of yourself as a 45-year-old man going through a midlife crisis, because that's kind of what I had to do for myself. And it gave me a weird permission of like, okay, like this isn't just me being young and naive, and because like I'm thinking about things that people don't acknowledge till way later in life.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, great. So I'm gonna skip that whole chunk of life.
Yep.
And then let's pick off from there. And then what do? Oh, they go like
Well-
play the guitar. Like, oh, that's okay. I'm gonna do something a little better than that. Let's try to do something.
We're like, well, let's make a music video while I
Yes.
play the guitar.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like there has to be more than like, I'm going to learn the piano at 45.
But I mean, that's kind of that basic.
It's kind of like all they have left at some point.
I
It's
know.
rough. It's rough.
Ben, I want to know what you think.
Mm-hmm. Are you still here, Ben? Are you still here?
He's from.
Senior Asian correspondent.
He's our in-house trans specialist.
Yes. We are the diversity hires. This is Miriam's company, but I was brought on for diversity.
You're
But
one of
I
my
swear-
slaves.
I swear my resume is good.
A third of your life is dedicated to me.
A third of my life is dedicated to you.
Wow.
Yeah, your business.
Which is what you just answer my phone.
Answer your phone.
I don't know. You said hello. This is.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true. No, I was talking about myself.
Oh, you as David.
Me, it's me. It's me.
And anyone else, whoever else is here, you want to chime in. As long as you don't say anything stupid, I won't remove you.
That's true.
I like to play communist dictator on YouTube and delete comments.
Yeah.
We don't have free speech over here.
Yeah. Well, we just don't want to go in dumb directions.
Yeah, exactly. Emil's here.
Just popped in the last 10 minutes.
Oh, don't remove
all right.
me.
No, we won't remove you.
No,
You're all right.
you could stay. Oh, Emil, you would probably like this
Yeah,
discussion.
you probably will, actually. And I'm curious what you think about it. Maybe you'll end up chiming in on this video, too. Write him a little comment.
Mm-hmm. Same. Oh, Emily's here.
All right. all
Hi,
right.
Emily. Didn't know.
That's all right. Yeah, we watched this. Oh, that's not the video. That's comments. We watched this video.
I posted it in the community.
Yeah, only a slave justifies its existence through productivity. It's funny because it's not even like his. It's its. It's even more like impersonal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, its existence. Oh God.
Cool. You guys are going to go back and watch.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. This
Yeah.
is fun.
This is good.
I think we'll do more of stuff like this as we find
You
videos.
said this last time.
I know, and I'm saying it again.
Oh, okay.
And partially just to remind myself.
Okay. Well, I just find these videos and then I sniff them and bring them to you.
Yeah. Oh, I think
I
it's
sniff
fun.
them out and
I
bring
think
them
it's
to you.
fun. I know. I wish that I could clip these up a little bit more and make videos out of them, but I can't.
No.
No, that much time and effort goes into like when we rip shit to shreds. Like
Yeah.
Law of One. We'll do Rudolf Steiner. We'll do Manifestation. We'll do like.
I don't know. I don't feel like doing any of that, but
We'll do things like that at some point, and those will be videos.
yeah, you'll clip them up
I
more.
think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But for now, we'll see.
I'm curious to see who else you'll find. I know.
Yeah, I know. With YouTube's new algorithm, things are getting fed out.
I know. It's so interesting
Yeah.
to find that video.
Yeah.
I didn't even think twice about whether to watch it because it had views or not. Like I just clicked on it because of the title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Well, thanks for tuning in. We
Yeah.
will see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.